Well, this whole story began 23 years ago when I sat down with the veteran for a World War II oral history project with my students. We were in his daughter's home in Hudson Falls, and Judge Walsh, he was actually reluctant to sit for the interview, but he kind of got prodded into it by some of the family. But we hit it off, and we had 2 hours of great conversation, and he was telling me stories of, you know, the brutal fighting that they went through, the terror that all young soldiers go through in combat, but also the boredom. He talked about the funny things that happen, and right at the end of the interview, I told Elizabeth, his daughter, I said, right at the end of the interview, I was packing my things up, and Elizabeth chimed in, and she said, "Dad, did you tell Mr. Rozell about that train?" And he thought for a minute, he goes, "No, I didn't." And he was rocking in this rocking chair, and he said, "It was a beautiful April day. We were shooting like crazy across the top of Germany, and we got pulled out of this tank column, 2 tanks, mine and George Gross's, with our majors, Major Benjamin. We went up to the train. There were people milling about, and we found out that it was full of Holocaust victims, 2,500 people who needed their help." And he stayed with the train with his tank for 1 hour. George Gross and his tank and the crew members, they stayed overnight. So Gross remembered a little bit more, and that's kind of what slipped Walsh's mind. It was 1 hour in, 10 months of combat. And it was when he began to tell the story and reconnect with George Gross that they rediscovered the photographs that were taken that day. They gave them to me, high school history teacher. I put them on the World Wide Web. This is right at the beginning of the 2000s here. And they sat there for 4 or 5 years. And I got an email one day from a woman in Australia who'd been a little girl on that train, and she saw the pictures of the day of her liberation, which pretty rare to find photographs of people being liberated from a death train, like very rare. And after that, she was the first survivor to contact me. I heard from 2 or 3 more, and I decided something crazy. I said, you know, it'd be really great if I invited some of these survivors to come up to the high school, a high school auditorium, with students and teachers and the community in the audience, and just let them tell their stories and let them meet Judge Walsh. George Gross lived in California, so he couldn't come, but it was a very emotional day. And the Associated Press picked up the story, and it went viral before viral meant anything. It was a story that newspapers all over the world picked up, and I heard from 60 or 70 more survivors, shortly thereafter. So this would be 6 years after my original interview.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So what happened after that?
We did more reunions. We did 2 more reunions at the high school, 2 years apart. In 2009 would have been the second reunion. The first one was 2007. And the ABC World News had us on for their Persons of the Week, and it was an incredible experience because we all watched that piece by Diane Sawyer unfold on our final banquet on a Friday evening in 2009. And I just heard from more and more people who were on this train. And since then, we've had about 300 survivors come forth. And when Mike got interested in doing the film, he began to go and interview the people that he could that were still alive. And 2 springs ago, we were able to go to Israel and interviewed another dozen people who I'd never actually met before, who had been little children on the train, but who now had their own growing families, huge families, now they're grandparents, right? Great-grandparents in many cases. And we just started to get more and more pieces of the puzzle came in. And it's a story that hasn't ended. It just keeps unfolding. And last summer at the National Archives, we actually uncovered 3.5 minutes of silent film footage of the American GI soldiers helping the people on the train, giving them food, You can see, you know, all the children, you can see the emaciated state of many of the people, but you also see some smiles. And Yaakov Barsalai, the poet laureate of Israel, actually saw himself as a 14-year-old boy in this film footage with his mother and his younger sister. So it's just a story that's so powerful and so incredible. We had the opportunity to go to Germany at the Liberation Site. Mike working on the film. We traveled to Farsleben where the train was liberated. And we met German school kids who have now taken this project under their own arms. And there's a monument there now to the liberating soldiers. And it's just an amazing thing to see the generations connect here over time and space. And, you know, these German school kids are really into the project.